People around the world look at the United States as a land of opportunity, stability, and long-term security. For decades, immigrants have believed that once you receive a U.S. visa or a green card, your future is safe and predictable. But the truth is far more complex. Immigration in the United States is not a straight road. It is a system shaped by laws, policy changes, political pressure, enforcement priorities, and administrative decisions that can change without warning. In recent years, especially moving toward 2026, U.S. immigration has entered a phase where uncertainty is no longer the exception, it has become the norm. Visa processing delays, sudden rule interpretations, stricter background checks, longer waiting periods, and changing enforcement priorities are now realities that every immigrant must understand clearly. Many people apply for visas believing that approval means stability. Others think that once a green card is issued, there is nothing left to worry about. This misunderstanding causes serious problems. Immigration status in the United States is conditional in many ways. It requires ongoing compliance with rules that many applicants never fully read or understand. The immigration system does not work on emotions, effort, or personal hardship. It works strictly on documentation, timelines, compliance, and discretion. Officers do not look at how long you waited or how much money you spent. They look at whether you followed the law exactly as written and interpreted at the time of review. Visa categories themselves are changing in practice. Employment-based visas face increased scrutiny as employers are required to prove real business necessity. Family-based visas continue to face long backlogs, especially for certain countries. Student visas are being monitored more closely for compliance, attendance, and post-study intent. Even visitor visas are now examined under the assumption that overstays are a high risk. For green card holders, the situation is often misunderstood. A green card is not citizenship. It does not guarantee unrestricted travel, unlimited absence, or immunity from immigration consequences. Many permanent residents lose their status not because they committed crimes, but because they misunderstood residency rules, travel limits, or reporting obligations. Extended travel outside the United States is one of the biggest silent risks. Many green card holders believe that staying abroad for 6 months or even a year is acceptable if they return later. In reality, immigration officers have broad authority to question abandonment of residence. Each entry into the U.S. is an inspection, not a right. Another growing issue is document consistency. Immigration records across different applications must match perfectly. Even small discrepancies in addresses, employment history, marital status, or travel dates can trigger reviews. In the digital era, information sharing across agencies has made inconsistencies easier to detect and harder to explain. The role of discretion has also expanded. Immigration officers are trained to identify risk patterns. They assess intent, compliance history, and credibility. This means two people with identical visas can receive very different outcomes based on how their cases appear during review. Policy changes do not always come as formal laws passed by Congress. Many changes happen through internal agency guidance, enforcement memos, or reinterpretation of existing regulations. These changes may not make headlines, but they affect real people every day. Applicants often rely on social media videos, hearsay, or outdated advice. This is dangerous. Immigration rules that applied 2 years ago may no longer apply today. Officers follow current policy, not past practices. Another critical reality is processing time unpredictability. Delays are no longer unusual, they are expected. Background checks, security reviews, and administrative processing can take months or years without explanation. During this time, applicants remain in limbo, unable to travel, work freely, or plan their lives. Many immigrants assume that hiring a consultant or agent guarantees success. This is a costly misunderstanding. Only official filings, truthful information, and compliance with the law matter. No one can influence decisions behind the scenes. As we approach 2026, enforcement priorities are becoming more targeted. Immigration authorities are focusing on compliance audits, overstays, fraudulent filings, and status misuse. This does not mean mass enforcement, it means selective enforcement based on data. Technology now plays a central role. Entry-exit tracking, biometric verification, travel history databases, and employment verification systems are all connected. Mistakes that once went unnoticed are now flagged automatically. Understanding the difference between eligibility and approval is essential. Being eligible does not guarantee approval. Approval depends on timing, discretion, documentation quality, and policy environment. This video series is not meant to create fear. It is meant to replace assumptions with clarity. Immigration success in 2026 depends less on luck and more on understanding reality. If you are planning to apply for a visa, waiting for a green card, or already living in the United States, the most important thing you can do is stay informed, compliant, and realistic. In the next part, we will go deeper into how specific visa categories and green card holders are being affected, what mistakes cause delays or denials, and what practical steps can reduce risk in the current immigration climate. As we move deeper into the realities of U.S. immigration, it is important to understand how different visa categories and green card situations are being affected in practice, not just on paper. Many applicants focus only on eligibility requirements, but in reality, the outcome of an immigration case depends heavily on how rules are enforced at the time of review. Employment-based visas are one of the most affected areas. Employers are now required to demonstrate genuine business necessity more clearly than before. Immigration officers examine whether the job role truly requires the foreign worker's skills and whether a U.S. worker could reasonably fill the position. This scrutiny does not only apply at the initial visa stage but also during extensions, amendments, and green card sponsorship. For workers on temporary visas, maintaining status has become more complex. Even small gaps in employment, changes in job duties, or delays in paperwork can raise red flags. Many workers assume that once an employer files a petition, they are protected. In reality, compliance must be continuous, and responsibility ultimately falls on the visa holder as well. Family-based immigration also faces serious delays and emotional strain. Backlogs for certain categories continue to grow, and priority dates move unpredictably. Families often wait years longer than expected, and during this time, circumstances change. Children age out, marriages change status, and financial requirements shift. These changes can affect eligibility in ways many families never anticipated. One common mistake in family-based cases is assuming that approval of a petition guarantees quick visa issuance. In truth, the petition is only one step. Visa availability, background checks, and consular discretion all play significant roles. Many applicants reach this stage unprepared, leading to further delays or refusals. Student visas are another area where enforcement has tightened. Students are expected to maintain full-time enrollment, comply with work restrictions, and follow all reporting requirements. Unauthorized employment, even if informal or short-term, can result in serious consequences. Schools are required to report violations, and records are maintained digitally. Many students believe that post-graduation work options automatically lead to long-term status. In reality, transition from student status to work visas is highly competitive and uncertain. Failure to plan early often results in status loss, even for academically strong candidates. Visitor visas are increasingly scrutinized under the assumption that overstays are a major risk. Officers now examine travel history, financial ties, and intent more carefully than ever. Even individuals with clean records can face refusals if officers believe the risk of overstay exists. For green card holders, daily life often creates a false sense of security. Many permanent residents do not realize that their status depends on maintaining residence in the United States. Extended stays abroad, frequent long absences, or lack of strong U.S. ties can all be interpreted as abandonment of residency. Travel is one of the most misunderstood areas. Each entry into the United States is a legal inspection. Officers have the authority to question residency intent, regardless of how long someone has held a green card. Past entries do not guarantee future outcomes. Another critical issue is criminal and civil compliance. Even minor offenses, unresolved charges, or certain civil violations can have immigration consequences. Many green card holders assume that only serious crimes matter. In reality, immigration law treats some minor offenses very seriously, especially when combined with other factors. Documentation errors also cause unexpected problems. Inconsistent information across applications, outdated addresses, or incorrect timelines can trigger reviews. With increased data sharing between agencies, discrepancies are more easily detected and harder to correct. Administrative processing has become a standard part of many cases. This process is often opaque, with no clear timelines or explanations. Applicants may wait months or years without updates, unable to travel or make life decisions. Another growing issue is reliance on unofficial advice. Social media has created a false sense of expertise. Many people follow viral videos or personal stories without understanding that immigration outcomes vary widely. What worked for one person may not work for another, even under similar circumstances. The role of discretion cannot be overstated. Immigration officers are trained to assess credibility, intent, and risk. This means that honesty, consistency, and preparation are critical. Attempts to hide information or provide half-truths often backfire. Policy shifts also occur through internal guidance that may not be publicly announced. Officers follow current instructions, even if applicants are unaware of changes. This creates situations where people feel blindsided by decisions they did not expect. As enforcement becomes more targeted, compliance history matters more than ever. Overstays, unauthorized work, and prior violations remain in records permanently. Even if forgiven in the past, they can resurface during future applications. Understanding that immigration is a long-term process, not a single event, is essential. Each decision affects future options. Short-term convenience often leads to long-term consequences. In the next part of this series, we will focus on long-term planning, realistic expectations for 2026 and beyond, the difference between permanent residence and citizenship, and how applicants can protect themselves in an increasingly complex immigration environment. As immigration policies continue to evolve, one of the most important things applicants and green card holders must understand is that long-term planning matters more than short-term outcomes. Many people approach immigration with a single goal in mind: getting approved. But approval is not the end of the journey. It is only one stage in a system that requires constant awareness and responsibility. One of the biggest misunderstandings is the belief that permanent residence equals permanence. A green card provides significant rights, but it also comes with ongoing obligations. Residence must be real, continuous, and clearly centered in the United States. Ties such as employment, housing, tax filings, and community involvement are not optional details, they are evidence of intent. As enforcement becomes more data-driven, patterns matter. Immigration authorities increasingly rely on travel history, tax records, employment verification systems, and biometric tracking. This means that behavior over time tells a story. Short absences may not matter, but repeated long stays abroad or inconsistent activity can raise serious questions. Many green card holders delay applying for citizenship, assuming they can do it later when convenient. This delay can be risky. Citizenship provides stability that permanent residence does not. Once naturalized, individuals are no longer subject to residency abandonment rules, travel limitations, or many enforcement risks that apply to green card holders. However, the citizenship process itself has become more detailed. Background checks are extensive, and applicants must demonstrate continuous residence, physical presence, good moral character, and attachment to constitutional principles. Past immigration violations, even from many years earlier, can resurface during naturalization review. Another reality is that future immigration laws may not become more lenient. Historically, immigration policy moves in cycles, but recent trends show increasing emphasis on enforcement, compliance, and national interest considerations. Applicants should plan as if scrutiny will increase, not decrease. Financial compliance is another area often overlooked. Tax filings must be accurate and consistent with immigration records. Filing as a non-resident when claiming resident benefits, or failing to file taxes altogether, can create serious problems during reviews. Immigration and tax systems communicate more closely than many people realize. Travel planning must also be intentional. Before long trips abroad, green card holders should consider re-entry permits where appropriate and maintain strong documentation of U.S. ties. Returning to the United States should never feel like a gamble. For visa holders transitioning to permanent residence, preparation must start early. Waiting until a visa is about to expire limits options. Employers, educational institutions, and legal timelines all move slowly, and last-minute decisions often result in status loss. Another important issue is honesty. Many applicants fear that telling the truth will harm their case, so they omit information or provide partial answers. In reality, omissions are often worse than unfavorable facts. Immigration officers are trained to identify inconsistencies, and credibility once lost is difficult to restore. Family planning is also affected by immigration timelines. Marriages, births, and dependents all interact with visa categories and eligibility. Failing to update records or misunderstanding dependent status can cause irreversible delays. As technology advances, artificial intelligence and automation play a larger role in case processing. While this can improve efficiency, it also reduces flexibility. Automated systems flag issues based on predefined criteria, leaving less room for explanation and less proactively addressed. Another growing challenge is emotional burnout. Long waits, uncertainty, and lack of control take a psychological toll. Many immigrants feel stuck, unable to plan careers, travel, or family decisions. Understanding that this experience is common can help individuals seek support and make informed choices rather than reactive ones. It is also important to separate misinformation from reality. Not every headline applies to every case. Not every policy announcement has immediate effect. Immigration decisions are individual, fact-specific, and timing-dependent. The most successful immigrants are not those who rush, but those who prepare. They keep records organized, stay informed through official sources, follow rules strictly, and think several steps ahead. They understand that immigration is a legal process, not a promise. As 2026 approaches, clarity, compliance, and patience are the strongest tools available. While no one can control policy changes, everyone can control how carefully they follow the law. This video series is meant to replace assumptions with understanding. Immigration success does not come from shortcuts or hope alone. It comes from knowledge, preparation, and realistic expectations. If you are on this journey, remember that staying informed is not optional, it is essential. The decisions you make today shape your options tomorrow.